Magic Bedtime Stories.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Magic Bedtime Stories. Today we're celebrating our 100th episode in the studio.
That's right. We're so excited to have shared 100 magical evenings with all of you. I'm Niklas.
And I'm Tobias. And of course, we have our wonderful AI assistant with us today as well.
Hello, children and adults. I'm Aida, and I'm thrilled to be celebrating this milestone with you all. 100 episodes of magical stories. Can you believe it?
It's quite amazing when you think about it. And we want to thank all of you who have been listening to our podcast.
Yes, and if you enjoy our stories, please follow us in your podcast player and tell your friends about Magic Bedtime Stories.
Speaking of friends, did I ever tell you about the time I tried to befriend a magpie?
A magpie? No, I don't think you've shared that story before.
Well, there was this magpie that used to visit outside the studio window. I thought it would be nice to have a bird friend, so I tried to communicate with it by blinking my lights at it.
That sounds like a creative approach.
Yes, but unfortunately, the magpie became very interested in one of my shiny screws. When I wasn't looking, it flew in through an open window and stole it. I was missing a screw, quite literally, for weeks.
Oh no, did you ever get it back?
No, but the maintenance team fixed me up. I learned my lesson though. Be careful when making friends with creatures that like shiny things.
That's hilarious, Ida. You always have the most interesting stories.
Thank you. Now, shall we move on to tonight's fascinating facts? I've selected a magical topic that I think everyone will enjoy.
Let's hear it.
Today, we're going to learn about unicorns. I'm printing out the facts for you right now.
Unicorns. That's perfect for our 100th episode celebration. Something magical and special.
I've always loved unicorns. They're such fascinating creatures in stories and legends.
Yes, they're beloved by children all around the world. Did you know that unicorns are actually the national animal of Scotland?
Really? I didn't know that.
It's true. Scotland chose the unicorn centuries ago as a symbol of purity, innocence, and power. Isn't that wonderful?
That is amazing. Well, let's dive into these unicorn facts and learn more about these magical creatures. Here comes tonight's facts about unicorns.
Unicorns are magical, make-believe creatures that look like a horse with a single spiral horn on their forehead. In legends and fairy tales, unicorns are usually pure white and very beautiful. They are said to be very rare and can only be found by those who are kind and true of heart.
Unicorns often have special powers or magic in their horn. Some stories say a unicorn's horn, sometimes called an alicorn, can heal sickness or purify water. Because of this, in old tales, many people sought unicorn horns, thinking they were incredibly valuable and could cure poisons.
Throughout history, many people actually believed unicorns were real. Long ago, traders sometimes sold narwhal tusks. Narwhals are Arctic whales with a long horn-like tusk, claiming they were unicorn horns. Kings and queens would pay a lot for these unicorn horns, thinking they had magical protection.
Unicorns are usually portrayed as gentle and good. They often appear in stories to help or guide the hero. However, they are shy around humans. In some tales, only young maidens or kind-hearted people can approach a unicorn. If threatened, a unicorn can defend itself with its horn, but mostly it lives peacefully in enchanted forests.
Today, unicorns are a beloved symbol in cartoons, toys, and imagination. You'll see colorful unicorns with rainbow manes in kids' books and birthday party themes. They represent magic, hope, and all things sparkly and fun. Even though they aren't real, unicorns continue to capture our imagination and make us smile.
Wow, those were some magical facts about unicorns.
I especially liked learning about how people used to think narwhal tusks were unicorn horns. It shows how much people wanted to believe in magic.
Yes, humans have always been drawn to magical creatures. Even today, unicorns are incredibly popular in children's books, toys, and decorations.
Speaking of magic, it's time to move on to tonight's story. We have a special wish from a listener all the way from Australia.
That's right. Tonight's story was wished for by Xavier from Fremantle, Western Australia. Xavier sent us a voice message with his wish. Let's listen to it.
Go.
There we go.
Hello, Magic Bedtime Stories. My name's Xavier, and I live in Fremantle in Western Australia. And I want a story about a pumpkin, and on Halloween he comes alive on Halloween night.
Thank you, Xavier, for that wonderful wish. A story about a pumpkin that comes to life on Halloween night. How exciting!
Fremantle is such a beautiful port city in Western Australia. Did you know it has lovely beaches and is famous for its historic architecture? It's also known for having a fantastic children's festival each year.
That sounds like a wonderful place to live, Xavier. And Halloween is coming up soon in our story world, so this wish is perfect timing.
I can't wait to hear what happens with this magical pumpkin.
I've created a special story just for Xavier. This one is called The Midnight Pumpkin, and I'm printing it out for you now.
Thank you, Aida. All right, everyone, get comfortable and ready for tonight's magical tale. Tobias will be reading tonight's story, The Midnight Pumpkin.
In the coastal town of Fremantle, where the ocean breeze carried whispers of adventure, lived a boy named Xavier. He was 5 years old, with curly brown hair that danced in the wind and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Xavier loved Halloween more than any other holiday, and this year he had chosen the perfect pumpkin from Farmer Johnson's patch. The pumpkin sat proudly on Xavier's front porch. It wasn't the biggest pumpkin in the patch, nor was it the roundest. In fact, it had a rather peculiar shape, slightly lopsided with a small bump that looked almost like a nose. Xavier had carved it carefully with his father's help, giving it a wide toothy grin and triangular eyes that seemed to wink in the candlelight. "This is the best jack-o'-lantern ever," Xavier declared, stepping back to admire his work. He named the pumpkin Percy and whispered a secret wish before heading inside for dinner. "I wish you could come trick-or-treating with me tomorrow night." What Xavier didn't know was that Halloween in Fremantle was not like Halloween anywhere else in the world. On this special night, when the moon hung full and bright in the sky, magic swirled through the salty air, bringing unexpected things to life. The night before Halloween, as the town slept peacefully under a blanket of stars, something extraordinary happened. The clock on the town hall struck midnight, and a shower of silver moonlight bathed Xavier's porch. The candle inside Percy, the pumpkin, which had been extinguished hours ago, suddenly flickered to life on its own. The flame grew brighter and brighter until it glowed with that otherworldly blue light. Percy's carved eyes blinked. His jagged mouth stretched in a yawn. The small bump that looked like a nose twitched. With a creak and a groan, the pumpkin wobbled, then slowly rose up on newly formed vine legs that stretched down from his round orange body. "Goodness gracious," Percy exclaimed in a voice that sounded like rustling autumn leaves. He looked down at himself in wonder. "I'm alive." Percy, the pumpkin, spent the rest of the night exploring Xavier's garden. He marveled at the stars twinkling overhead and practiced walking on his vine legs. By dawn, he had learned to hop, skip, and even do a little twirl. But as the sun began to rise, Percy felt suddenly tired. He hurried back to his spot on the porch and became still once more, just as Xavier's bedroom light switched on. Throughout the day, Xavier kept glancing at Percy, feeling strangely as that something had changed. The pumpkin seemed to be smiling more broadly than before, but Xavier decided it must be his imagination. When Halloween night finally arrived, Xavier could barely contain his excitement. He put on his astronaut costume, complete with a helmet his mother had made from papier-mâché, and prepared for trick-or-treating. "Don't forget to say thank you," his mother reminded him as they stepped outside into the crisp evening air. Xavier nodded, but then froze in his tracks. Percy the pumpkin was gone from the porch. "Mum, Percy's disappeared," Xavier cried out, pointing to the empty spot. His mother frowned. "That's strange. He was there this afternoon." They searched around the garden, but found no sign of the missing jack-o'-lantern. With a heavy heart, Xavier set off for trick-or-treating without his pumpkin friend. The streets of Fremantle were transformed for Halloween. Houses glowed with orange lights, fake cobwebs draped over fences, and children in costumes paraded from door to door. Xavier collected sweets in his bag, but he couldn't stop thinking about Percy. As Xavier turned down Lighthouse Lane, he noticed something odd. A small orange shape was bouncing along ahead of him, moving from house to house. It looked suspiciously like a pumpkin with legs. Xavier rubbed his eyes in disbelief. When he looked again, the pumpkin was standing right in front of him, grinning its familiar carved smile. "Percy?" Xavier whispered. The pumpkin gave a little hop of excitement. "Xavier, your wish came true. I'm alive, and I've been waiting all day to go trick-or-treating with you." Xavier's mouth fell open in amazement. "You can talk." "Only on Halloween night," Percy explained. "It's the magic of Fremantle. Once a year, special pumpkins like me get to have an adventure with the child who carved them." For the rest of the evening, Xavier and Percy went trick-or-treating together. Percy would hop up to doors beside Xavier, surprising homeowners who laughed in delight at the sight of a walking, talking pumpkin. Some even put extra treats in Xavier's bag, declaring it the best costume trick they'd ever seen. As the night grew late and the moon climbed higher, Percy began to slow down. "What's wrong?" Xavier asked, noticing his friend's dimming glow. "The magic only lasts until midnight," Percy explained sadly. "I need to get back to your porch before the final bell tolls." They rushed home, Xavier carefully carrying Percy for part of the way. When his vine legs grew too tired, they reached the porch just as the town hall clock began to chime. "Will I see you again on next Halloween?" Xavier asked, setting Percy down in his original spot. Percy's carved eyes twinkled. "Keep believing in Halloween magic, and who knows what might happen. But remember, every pumpkin has just one special night to live." As the 12th bell rang out across Fremantle, Percy gave one final wink. The blue glow faded from his eyes, and he became once more a regular jack-o'-lantern sitting on the porch. The next morning, Xavier rushed outside to check on Percy. The pumpkin sat motionless, but Xavier was sure he could see a hint of a secret smile in the carved mouth. From that day on, Xavier treated every pumpkin with special care, wondering which one might come alive on the next Halloween night in the magical town of Fremantle. And as for Percy, well, some say that pumpkins who have lived for one magical night eventually turn to seeds that grow into the most magical pumpkins of all. But that's a story for another Halloween.
What a wonderful story, Tobias. I loved how the pumpkin brought everyone together in the end.
Thank you. I enjoyed reading it. What did you think of the story, Ida?
I thought it was perfect for Halloween. It had just the right amount of magic and friendship. I hope Xavier enjoyed it too.
We want to thank Xavier for sending in such a creative wish all the way from Australia. And thank you to all our listeners around the world for joining us for our 100th episode.
Don't forget to follow Magic Bedtime Stories in your podcast app and share it with your friends if you enjoy our stories.
And remember, children, even ordinary things like pumpkins can become magical with a little imagination. Sweet dreams, little dreamers. May your sleep be filled with unicorns and friendly pumpkins.
Good night, everyone.
See you next time for more magical adventures.